Chris, we have not heard anything, and as you mentioned, it might be too soon to speculate on that. Police officers still arriving into the scene. As I mentioned, as we were pulling up here just moments ago, there were intersections still being shut down. So this is a situation where the police are still responding. What we can gather is that the vehicle involved has been stopped. So now we're at a point where it's tending to those that were injured, and then from there trying to figure out if this was an accident or if this was an intentional act. Mary, we do not have that information at this point due to some flight restrictions around Manhattan. We're not able to get directly over the scene, so we're shooting this from several blocks away. We're looking down 45th Street, and again, that is the intersection with 7th Avenue. There you see an ESU truck, emergency services truck, arriving on the scene. Multiple police officers in that intersection. Fire department is also on the scene as well. From the information we have been receiving, the vehicle came to a stop on 7th Avenue, just south of 45th Street. So that would be just around the corner to your right as you look at our picture, where you can see the back end of that fire department vehicle. Mary, Chris?
Again, we're working to get you guys any information we can on this breaking news story. Again, you're looking at live aerials coming in from our New York Fox station. Again, this is a situation there in New York. We can't confirm a lot of information right now. We have a witness report from someone who works within the Fox company, messaging us saying, my husband is in Times Square, just saw someone in a vehicle drive over a bunch of people on the sidewalk. Again, this is a very concerning situation there in New York City, America's most populated city, the biggest market in the country. Obviously, we're very concerned for those pedestrians that are struck, and we're working to get you guys more information on exactly why this took place. All right, so I want to go ahead and locate exactly where this situation took place. It's not too far from Times Square. Now, when the camera pans out from the chopper, you can see that the Marriott Hotel located right there near 7th Avenue and I believe 45th Street. Again, this is a live look at that situation in New York City. This is coming in from WNYW, and we're getting a ground shot from the scene. Again, this is a ground shot.
Pedestrians on a sidewalk in New York City's Times Square. At least 10 people are being reported injured. Some being treated on the scene, others at local hospitals. The source of this interjection is Fox News.
Okay, so we're just getting an update from Fox News National. A car plowing into pedestrians on the sidewalk. We're hearing reports of 10 people injured, some people treated at the scene. You can see that car there on the ground. Again, our image coming in is from Fox News. It is a bit pixelated, but we're going to get you guys additional information as this breaking news unfolds.
Right, sir? Here.
Again, we have very limited information as of right now. Fox 5 in New York reporting that a car has crashed into pedestrians. Several people injured after the car, which was described as out of control, crashed into a sidewalk in Times Square. Happened at Broadway and 45th Street. Broadway, of course, for those of you not too familiar with New York, is right near 7th Avenue, a road that crosses directly with Times Square. Again, we don't have a lot of information right now. The car was left on top of a pole at the intersection. No other details immediately available. Again, this is a developing story. We don't have a lot of information. You can see that this photo here is, the images coming in are very pixelated. So I want to go ahead and pull up this feed in the meantime. Here is a quick feed from Twitter. You see this post from one user, one passerby, saying, "What's happening in Times Square? This car was in the sidewalk and people are on the streets." So you have this image that was posted by user @GB around 8:57 Arizona time this morning. So this photo posted about 20 minutes ago there at Broadway and 45th Street, right in the Times Square area. Again, we do not know at this point if this was an intentional crash or if it was an accident. Again, we're hearing that around 10 people injured. No word yet if any of those injuries were serious or life-threatening. Again, this is breaking news out of New York City. We're working to get you guys additional information as it becomes available. We're working to fix our feed out of New York. As you can see, it is a big pixelated from New York. We're working to fix that. In the meantime, I do want to go ahead and show you this image from the ground, and we're going to give you another quick update in just a few minutes. All right, everyone, looks like we have the aerials back from the scene. Again, this is at Broadway and 45th Street. Broadway and 45th Street, very close to 7th Avenue, as well as, you know, Broadway and 7th Avenue intersect right in that area. For those of you familiar with New York City, this is very close to, this is basically Times Square. Now the question is, was this intentional or was this an accident? We can't confirm any information at this time as the story is developing. We only have preliminary information at this point. We do know that approximately 10 people injured in New York City, some people being treated at the scene. No word yet on whether any of those injuries are serious or life-threatening. Again, this is live breaking news out of New York City's Times Square. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and show you a few more tweets. This one coming from New York City alerts, Manhattan, 45th Street and 7th Ave. Car just jumped the curb in Times Square. Multiple injuries being reported. Again, this photo being shared once again from Twitter user GB. We know that the fire department in New York also tweeting 13 total patients currently reported at scene of motor vehicle accident in Times Square. So it looks like I'm going to go ahead and update that lower third. This tweet coming out just 3 minutes ago, a total of 13 patients currently being reported. Again, you are looking at an image posted from the New York Fire Department. New York Fire Department confirming that at least 10 people injured. In fact, New York Fire Department saying 13 total patients currently reported at the scene of this motor vehicle accident in Times Square. So again, the fire department describing this as a motor vehicle accident. At this time, we don't know whether this was an unplanned accident or if this was an intentional incident. We do have these live images coming in once again from the scene, courtesy of Skyfox New York. Again, several people hurt after a car drives onto the sidewalk in Times Square. There are a number of photos being posted. I'm going to go ahead and show you a few more pictures from the scene. This one coming from the New York Daily News. You can see this photo right here, the New York Daily News showing this photo of the vehicle involved in that crash in Times Square. It does appear like the vehicle does have New York plates. Just want to point that out. It looks like that is indeed a New York license plate there. Let's just go ahead and zoom in. Yep, that does indeed look like a New York license plate. We're going to go back now to the live aerials from the scene there in New York City. Again, the New York Fire Department saying 13 people injured in Times Square. We are going to work to get you guys more information, more images. Again, at least 13 pedestrians injured in an incident involving a car. Apparently this car caught fire, so we're going to go ahead and show you guys this photo as well. This photo coming in from Fox 5 in New York. You can see this photo right here, the vehicle catching fire there. A very unfortunate scene there in New York City, in a very populated area of the country's largest city. Again, if you pay attention, if you look closely, if you look in the area where that ambulance is and the fire truck is, you can also see police tape there. A large group of people as well. Again, this is around on 45th Street near Broadway, 7th Avenue there in Times Square. A very busy area, populated area, always filled with tourists, as well as regular people just walking through. As you know, New York City is a major pedestrian city. Most people who live in New York don't have cars. They rely on public transportation, walking, cabs to get around. So it is an unfortunate situation there in New York City where a car would plow into a group of people on the sidewalk crash into a pole. Again, we are waiting to find out whether this was intentional or if it was an accident. Now you're looking at more images from the ground. There is that live look at the vehicle involved in this incident. You see New York Fire Department there on the scene. It is pretty busy indeed.
Hey, it's going to be IFB for David Lee Miller.
All right, well now we don't need all of us.
We're on IFB. What circuit we are? It appears that all the injured have been taken away, and a little logistical housekeeping here. I'm actually going to get in front of our camera right now and to be able to get a better sense of what's going on as I stand before the camera now on the corner of
Keith,
46th Street.
You want to try to do an aerial?
And Broadway. I don't know if you can see my picture yet, but over my shoulder, off in the distance, you should be able to see the vehicle and where it is now positioned.
What's that?
At least 7 or 8 New York City fire trucks still here, still scrambling. But noteworthy is I do not see any more ambulances here.
Go the other way.
All the ambulances appear to have left Times Square, and traffic remains at a halt, not just here, but in all of the areas surrounding Midtown Manhattan. This, again, an extremely busy area. This was a Thursday in New York. This is the theater district. People come here not just to see all the neon signs. They come here to buy theater tickets. They come here to enjoy the restaurants. No doubt this happened at arguably one of the busiest times of the day. Back to you.
So other reporters would have to come down and maybe get that angle.
And we just heard from Fox News reporter there on the scene. He did make a good point. This did happen during a very busy time in the day, right around the lunchtime hour. This incident taking place in the last 30, 40 minutes. We've been covering now here for you for about 10, 15 minutes here on News Now. This is a breaking news situation out in New York. We have a Fox News reporter live at the scene. Again, we are hearing reports that 13 people, at least 13 people injured. No word yet, no updates on if any of those injuries were life-threatening or the extent to how serious they are. Now, according to a witness, we're hearing this report now from Fox News Channel, a witness says the car was driving the wrong way before it hit pedestrians in Times Square. Again, Fox News now covering this story. Car jumps curbs, hits pedestrians in Times Square. Again, this is a developing story. A speeding car jumped a curb and injured several people in New York. Again, several buildings in the area apparently on lockdown as police swarm the busy intersection, which is heavily populated with tourists. We're working to get you guys more information. We're now hearing that according to a witness, the driver was going the wrong direction in that vehicle before slamming into those pedestrians on the sidewalk. Obviously, many of you are probably wondering, where is the driver? We have not gotten any word or any update regarding the driver, his or her whereabouts at this point. It is unclear, again, whether this was an accident that may have been caused because of health reasons, or if it was something that was a planned attack, or if the driver was under the influence of alcohol, perhaps. Again, we don't have any information about the driver as of right now. We do know that, according to the New York Fire Department, 13 people injured in this unfortunate incident in Times Square. Again, this is 45th Street, near 7th Ave, Broadway, right where those streets intersect. All right, everyone, and we're now getting a Fox News alert that just came out in the last minute. Fox News alert, one person in custody following the crash. This is a Fox News alert. We now know that one person is in custody following the crash. Again, Looks like we've lost that feed from New York. I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the images that have come in. Here is one close image, courtesy of the New York Daily News. You can see how damaged that vehicle is there. It jumped the curb, crashed into many people, apparently 13 people injured. We're now hearing that one person is in custody. That is a Fox News alert. Here is another live look at Times Square. You can see many people gathered there at the scene, police tape there, the ambulance and the fire truck there tending to the scene. All right, we do have a view from the ground as well. I want to go ahead and give you guys this look as well. All right, again, we are learning that the authorities do have one person in custody. 13 people have been injured, according to the fire department. I am now seeing reports. There are some reports out there that one person was killed. I am waiting for Fox News to confirm that information. However, so as of right now, all we can tell you is 13 people injured in this incident. We are hearing reports that one person may have died. We will confirm that with you as soon as we get official word from Fox News channel. Again, you're looking at a live look from the scene there in New York City, there in Times Square. I want to go ahead and give you guys another look. We have multiple cameras there at the scene now. Let's go ahead and cut to another camera.
Kelly Graves.
Kelly, can you describe for me what you saw a short time ago?
We were actually just in that area, and we crossed the street, and we were halfway down the block, and we heard a big crash. We turned around, we saw people running from the scene. We went running back, and we saw people laying on the sidewalk on the other block with crowds of people around them trying to help them. We also saw in front of the car there was like a gray line ticket person that was down on the ground.
Tour bus ticket.
A tour bus ticket guy, and there were cops all around him. He was injured. We were standing right on that corner. The car started on fire, and then we got many pictures, and we were shooed away. That was pretty much all.
Did you see anyone led away? Did you see someone who may have been the driver?
We did not, because at that time our backs were when the crash was. I don't know. We heard that maybe he ran away. We heard different stories, but we did not see anybody getting out of the vehicle.
Tell me the extent of the injuries that you saw. How serious was this, Kelly?
We didn't see the exact injuries because there were so many people around the injured people that it was hard to see, but you could see clumps of people down the sidewalk with people all around them trying to help them. So, but I mean, you didn't really see anybody except I saw the gray line ticket person laying on the ground. He had his back to us. We couldn't see how injured he was. He wasn't moving very much. So other than that, we really don't know the extent of the injuries or how many people were injured. It was just total chaos after it happened.
And before it happened, to what extent, if any, did you actually see this vehicle moving?
We didn't. No, because we were just in the area and we were actually heading back. And so we did not see the actual accident happen.
It was a huge, you said the car was on fire at the time?
Yeah,
was there an explosion? Tell me what you heard as well.
After it hit, we saw people running away. And like I said, we turned around and we went back to the corner where the fire trucks were. The car was smoking quite a bit, and then all of a sudden there were flames shooting out of the hood. The police made us all get back a block, and well, you could actually see flames shooting out of the front of the car.
How many people did you see injured? The reports now are 13. Is that consistent with what you saw?
I didn't see how many people. Like I said, you saw people laying on the sidewalks with people trying to help them. You could not get an accurate count on how many people were injured. And so I don't know. But like I said, there was just crowds of people on the block beforehand with trying to help people laying on the sidewalk.
Kelly, thank you very much for speaking with us.
Okay.
We're glad that you're all right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, as many as 13 people, others were injured. We have another eyewitness here. Let's see if we can get into position here, what he has to say.
Funnel type area, so it would be hard to tell if there were other persons there as well.
Hi, sir. We're live on Fox News Channel right now. I'm told that you saw this incident as it happened?
After it had happened, sir. Yes, sir.
Describe for me what you saw.
My wife and I were taking pictures for our anniversary picture to post on Facebook. We had turned our backs and started to walk away. We had gotten about half a block away when we had heard the crash. As we turned around, pedestrians were running from the crash site, running in this direction is what we could see. As we walked closer to the automobile, we had taken some pictures you can obviously see. Before the fire started on the automobile, you could see 4 groups of people lying on the sidewalk where other pedestrians were trying to offer assistance to them. To the right, in front of the crashed automobile where the firemen are standing now, was a gray line salesperson.
The tour bus salesman in New York.
Tour bus salesman, I'm sorry, yes. Kneeling on the ground next to what appeared to be a victim and 2 law enforcement officers rendering assistance. They seemed to be alone. Then shortly after that, the automobile started to smoke. That's when the law enforcement officers were trying to clear the area. Before we got more than half a block away, the automobile caught on fire. The fire department was already on scene, and as it started to catch on fire, and like everyone else, we took pictures of everything. And the fire department put out the smoke, and about 13 minutes after that, the news crew started to show up.
Did you see anyone that might have been a driver of the vehicle, sir?
No, we wouldn't be able to tell who was driving or who was not
Did you
driving.
see anyone arrested, taken away by authorities?
We only saw one person arrested, but my best guess is it would be someone like a bike messenger. Law enforcement officer had a bicycle. There were several persons trying to get through the area, and the law enforcement officers were trying to keep people out. So I'm sure that the person that was arrested was obstructing whatever the officers were doing. Had nothing to do with the accident itself.
Did you hear the actual collision?
Yes.
So based on you didn't actually see it, but you heard it.
Yes, sir.
Can you give us a sense, as best you can, how fast might this vehicle have been going based on the noise that you heard?
I would have to imagine that the vehicle was easily traveling more than 30 miles an hour. You know what the traffic's like here. It's quite congested. To hit people and to be catapulted up on there, it would have to have easily been exceeding the speed limit here, but the speed would only be a guess, sir, but easily would have had to have been speeding for this type of an area. And to be put up on there, we're still kind of baffled on how it could have gotten up so high on the pole itself, unless it hit another vehicle. But
he was going at a very high rate of speed, and also, according to reports, in the wrong direction, northerly on Broadway, which is a southerly road.
Which direction is this, sir?
That's north.
That's north. So the automobile was traveling north,
which is against the flow of traffic, which is a very hard thing to do by accident here in New York City.
As crowded as it is, yes, sir.
And can you tell me a little bit about the condition of the people you saw who were struck? How serious the injuries appeared? Do you have any sense of that?
No, sir. I couldn't tell you if they were men or women. I couldn't tell you male or female. I couldn't tell you much about it. The few groups of people that were around them rendering assistance, you could only tell that they were people lying on the sidewalk, and people were there trying to do whatever they could. That's about the best I can tell you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your account. That's a second eyewitness account. Again, very consistent with what we have been hearing now. Let me get back in position here so you can get a sense of where this happened over my shoulder. This vehicle, with almost certainty now, based on the witnesses we've talked to, was heading in the wrong direction against the flow of traffic, heading north on Broadway. It then rammed into as many as 13 people near a pedestrian mall, an area that is set aside just for pedestrians. And one thing I want you to take a look at, and you can see that barriers have been set up here. See these stakes, these steel stakes? These are designed to keep vehicles away from the pedestrian areas. And somehow this vehicle apparently tried to make its way into this pedestrian zone. And as I look at the vehicle now, if we can zoom into it, I'm getting, again, a better sense of what may have happened here and why the car is in the position that we see it. I believe the car is now being propped up on one side because it's resting on one of those steel stakes that are designed to keep it away from pedestrians, to keep people safe. Unfortunately, it was not entirely successful today. Back to you. Can you get me anyone else to talk to? Try.
All right, everyone, Samia here. I do want to give you a quick update. Fox 5 New York is reporting that one person was killed, according to their sources in the fire department. Again, we are hearing one person dead. We're now getting reports from the New York Fire Department as well that it was one person dead and 12 now hurt. One person dead, 12 hurt. They just tweeted this 5 minutes ago. I'm going to go ahead and pull up their Twitter for you. We are getting an official update now. One person dead, 12 injured at Times Square motor vehicle incident. So we are going to update our lower third for you now. New York Fire Department confirming one death, 12 people injured in Times Square. Again, we are getting multiple updates from the scene. I do want to include some more information that we're just getting in right now. Let me go ahead and get you guys back to the scene. Here is some additional information that we're getting in the last few minutes. We have learned that Sean Spicer has tweeted saying that the president has been made aware of the situation in Times Square and will continue to receive updates. And we are hearing a report from Sky News quoting or referencing the New York Police Department, saying that this incident is not being treated as terrorism. Again, here is, it looks like that tweet, however, has since been deleted, so I cannot confirm that any longer, but that was tweeted from Sky News about 10 minutes ago. Looks like that tweet has since been deleted, so not sure what that implies or indicates. Looks like we have the reporter on the scene speaking once again. Let's go ahead and listen in.
This may be an accident. It may be something more sinister, difficult to tell, but you need to take the following into consideration. Zoom into the vehicle now, and you can see, as we pointed out a moment ago, and I think this is significant, that this car is now resting on one of what appears to be, I'm a block away, but it appears to be one of the metal stakes or poles that are used to prevent any type of vehicular traffic from entering this pedestrian zone. And if in fact this is what the driver intended, that's why there were in fact so many injuries. Also take into consideration again the fact that this vehicle was heading in the wrong direction. So those two factors are things that authorities are no doubt going to have to consider. The car was heading at, according to witnesses, at a relatively high rate of speed, over 20 miles an hour, in a very congested area of New York City where it's difficult to move at all. It was moving against the flow of traffic, and the car apparently struck a pedestrian barrier designed to prevent these type of injuries. At this hour, it appears that all of the injured have now been taken away. Midtown Manhattan remains completely frozen, not just this area, but this is a major intersection. I'm going to ask the photographer to pan around here, and you can get a sense of just what is unfolding here in the very heart of New York City on a beautiful Thursday afternoon, an area here that would normally be teeming with people to enjoy the nice weather. Tourists as well as New Yorkers, now has come to a grinding halt. The pedestrians are now behind police barriers, and traffic has been completely sealed off. And now I'm getting an updated figure on the number of people who were injured. Now we are told that that figure has been put at 12 people. 12 people injured, 1 person confirmed dead. No information at this hour about the driver of this vehicle. We are told that he is in custody. No mention of his identity, or in fact where he has now been taken. Was he possibly injured when this car hit this steel pole and finally came to rest? We heard one of the witnesses say that a bicyclist, and I saw this for myself, was arrested and taken away. Now we're being told that the area we're in, we're being told we have to leave this area because the vehicle, they're still trying to secure the vehicle, figure out this area is safe. Now they're moving back, not just the public, but the media as well. We're going to move back, and it's worth remembering too that a number of years ago there was a failed attempt by an individual to set off a car bomb in this area. So no doubt that is also on the minds of the authorities. That is a concern that there may be some type of...
All right, it looks like we've lost that feed from New York, but we do have multiple feeds still coming in from New York. We have multiple cameras on the ground. This is another look at a camera. I do want to give you an update. It appears that our Fox News reporter perhaps hasn't gotten this update yet, but the New York Police Department treating this as most likely a DWI, driver driving under the influence. This according to multiple news reports out of New York. New York Police Department is investigating this as an accident. The driver is being described as a 26-year-old with a past history of DWIs, being tested for alcohol. Again, this is according to reports that we are seeing on Twitter. Again, Fox 5 New York reporting this as well. I'm going to go ahead and pull up some of the tweets that we're getting in. Fox 5 New York, breaking law enforcement official says driver who plowed into a crowd in Times Square is being tested for alcohol. Sandra Smith Fox tweeting, in the last few minutes, 1 person in custody. Law enforcement again saying the driver who plowed into the crowd in Times Square is being tested for alcohol. This tweet coming in from Fox 5 New York about 5 minutes ago. I want to go back now to the scene. We have multiple cameras there at the scene, as I mentioned. Here is a look at that vehicle involved in the crash. We also have these aerials of the scene as well. Again, for those of you just joining us, wondering where this incident took place, this was 45th Street near 7th Avenue, Broadway. Now, those two streets do intersect with 45th Street there. Again, this is really in the heart of Times Square. You can see multiple fire trucks at the scene, ambulances at the scene. Initially, we heard reports of 13 patients. Now the New York Fire Department telling us that 1 person is dead, 1 person has died because of their injuries, and 12 others are injured in this incident that took place in New York City. Again, as of right now, they are not treating it as terror-related, treating it as an accident, according to the New York Police Department. The driver, who we are hearing reports is a 26-year-old man, being tested for alcohol right now. This according to the Associated Press, who is reporting this information. Again, the driver who plowed into a crowd in Times Square is in custody. He's being tested for alcohol. This news comes from the Associated Press. What we know so far in regards to this Times Square crash, law enforcement official says that a car that plowed into a crowd of pedestrians in Times Square killed 1 person. Now we're hearing numbers that are even higher than 12. According to the Associated Press, this law enforcement official says that 1 person was killed and almost or approximately 20 others injured. Now again, the New York Fire Department said that 1 person was dead and 12 were injured, but a law enforcement official speaking with the Associated Press says that 1 person was killed and approximately 20 other people were injured. Now, this official spoke with the Associated Press and said that the driver was taken into custody after this lunchtime crash and is indeed being tested for alcohol. This official speaking with the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because, of course, the investigation is ongoing. Now, according to the Associated Press, police do not suspect any links to terrorism. We do have these live images coming in now. I'm going to go ahead and take you guys back to the ground scene so you can see the vehicle involved in this incident. Now, as you can see, the car came to a rest with two of its wheels in the air, leaning on a lamppost and steel barriers intended to block vehicles from getting onto the sidewalk. So interestingly enough, the car crashed into a steel barrier that was intended to block vehicles from getting onto the sidewalk in the first place. Again, breaking news out of New York City, a car plowed into pedestrians in New York. The driver is in custody and is being tested for alcohol. We are getting an update now. Mike Pace just messaging me, letting me know that Governor Andrew Cuomo is expected to speak in about 20 minutes. We do know, according to Press Secretary Sean Spicer, that President Trump has been briefed on this situation and is continuing to monitor this incident in New York City. All right, again, you're looking at a live look at the scene. We do have another angle from the ground. I'm going to go ahead and pull up that camera for you. We do have a reporter at the scene as well, so he will be reporting periodically from that scene in New York City.
All right.
That's it. If there's something in the car, you don't know. 47th Street. Far side. Let's go.
Hello? Yes? They're moving us again. John, stand by. Yeah, I can talk.
All right, it looks like the reporter is just getting ready to speak from the scene. I do want to share this video with you. One of our viewers, Steinbrenner, tweeting me this link of the suspect being taken into custody by police. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys this video right now. That was video posted on Twitter of the driver of that vehicle being taken into custody. Looks like our Fox News reporter at the scene is doing another live update for our national channel. Let's go ahead and listen into this report.
Just moments ago, take something away from that car. This is still very much an active scene, even though it appears that all the injured have now been taken away by ambulance. And it looks like for the next several hours now, this part of New York City is going to remain completely paralyzed. And this is arguably the busiest intersection in New York. To those who have visited the city, this is the intersection now of 47th, 7th Avenue and Broadway. They all converge. Here's the tickets booth where people come to buy tickets for Broadway. You can hear the officer on his megaphone again instructing people to move further and further away. And what's noteworthy again is that this incident happened a few minutes, I think at 11:56, 4 minutes before noon, and it has now been roughly 1 hour. It has now been roughly 1 hour since this car plowed into a number of people, as many as 12 people, a number that keeps changing. One person confirmed dead. And now 1 hour after this incident, authorities are moving pedestrians back an additional block. Police are now here with a megaphone. I'm going to let you hear what they're saying. I think they're maybe out of camera range, but they are warning people to move further back. And now I'm getting a report that investigators at the car are removing from the trunk, in addition to that box I described, CDs, jumper cables, virtually everything that's in that car. The vehicle is described as a Honda Accord, and as you can see on our video feed, the car was extensively damaged, the front end extensively damaged. We are told from witnesses that the car itself burst into flames after this incident happened. So there's still a great deal more work to be done here on the scene. Back to you.
You want that table? They gonna push this anymore? Rob, you need this? Alright, I'm getting my table.
All right, it looks like that Fox News reporter has wrapped up his report from the scene. Do want to continue to monitor the situation, show you all the different angles that we have. We have multiple cameras, both on the ground and in the sky, giving you a look at this incident that took place in New York City. Now, again, for those of you just joining us, don't have a lot of information. This is what we know so far. We know a car plowed into a group of pedestrians. Witnesses say that at some points this car was traveling in the wrong direction. It crashed into some steel barriers that were up to prevent cars from driving on the sidewalk. New York Fire Department suggesting 1 dead, up to 20 people hurt. This according to an Associated Press report. A law enforcement official speaking with the Associated Press saying up to 20 people hurt in this incident. The New York Fire Department did confirm that 1 person was killed in this incident in Times Square. This is at 45th Street near 7th Avenue, Broadway Avenue there in Times Square, really the heart of Times Square. Many people wondering, was this an intentional attack? Was this terrorism, or was it an accident? We are hearing from authorities that they are treating it as an accident. The driver now being tested for alcohol. They believe it is possibly driving while under the influence. Again, an incident at a New York City. We're bringing you live aerials from Skyfox, New York. We also have ground shots from the scene. I'm going to go ahead and take you guys there now. All right, now we have learned that Governor Andrew Cuomo will be holding a press conference momentarily. He'll be talking about this incident there in New York. Again, we have multiple cameras there on scene. I want to go ahead and show you guys all the different angles we have. This is one angle of the incident. Here is another angle. You can see responders there at the scene. And looks like we have one other feed there in New York. You can see the police tape is up, blocking most access to Times Square. Again, this incident taking place 45th Street near 7th Avenue, Broadway, there in the heart of Times Square. Again, according to the fire department, 1 person dead, 12 injured, but there is a law enforcement official that has spoken with the Associated Press that says up to 20 people have been injured in this crash. All right, now the latest information coming out of Washington, D.C. We know the White House says that President Trump has been made aware that a car plowed into a crowd of pedestrians in Times Square, and he will continue to receive updates as the situation unfolds. Now, New York City law enforcement officials say that at least 1 person was killed after a car traveled through this popular tourist area of Times Square right around lunchtime. That vehicle drove into a crowd of pedestrians, and according to a law enforcement official, about 20 other people were injured. White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer tweeting that Trump was briefed before New York authorities confirmed the death. Officials say the driver is in custody and is being tested for alcohol. Again, the driver is being tested for alcohol. Police do not suspect a link to terrorism. Joining me now for continuous coverage out of New York City, Ron, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Ron, I think it's just, of course, someone who frequents New York City a lot.
Right.
This is every pedestrian's worst fear.
You almost cannot go to New York City if you're a tourist and not go to Times Square. I mean, it's really sort of the heart of Manhattan. And so immediately when something like this happens, sadly enough, the first thing you think is terrorism.
Right.
Now, the New York Post is IDing the man as a local man, 26 years old, with a history of drunk driving arrests.
Right.
So, that's an early preliminary, view as to what may have happened here. However, to hit that many people, it's hard to imagine that if in fact this turns out to be a drunk driving situation, that you're not at least somewhat aware that you are hitting and potentially killing so many people on the sidewalk.
Right.
That's the report indicated that the guy got out of the car and tried to fight with a police officer. So, yeah, we're going to have to wait to see. It's, originally there were reports of 10 hurt, and then it went to 13. Then I believe it was AP reported 20
up to
injured.
20, yeah.
And so, it's still active. This all happened 1 hour and 8 minutes ago.
And, Rod, I'm just going to interrupt really quickly. It looks like our reporter at the scene is doing another live report, so let's go ahead and listen in for a little bit to see what he's saying.
We watched authorities as they removed from the trunk virtually all the contents. We were able to see what looked like a box that was taken out from the rear end of the vehicle. There were also jumper cables, CDs, the usual type of stuff you would see in a car. And There was also a sniffer dog on the scene used to detect explosives, but from what we could tell from our vantage point, that sniffer dog was not actively being engaged. It was standing by. So authorities continue to consider all options here at this hour. This may have been nothing more than an accident caused by a criminal act, as Julie Banderas suggests, but authorities in overabundance or an abundance of caution here are moving pedestrians far away from this vehicle so that in case there is something in their car that there shouldn't be, there will not be any more injuries. Back to you.
All right, it looks like that reporter has wrapped up his report. He's been reporting periodically from there in Times Square. Again, Ron, this is just a crazy situation. You know, when we first heard reports of this crash in New York, I didn't think anything of it. We just heard car on a sidewalk. But then as we started learning more information, started learning that people were injured, people were hit, it became much more serious. And obviously many people tuning in, they can't help but think about incidents that took place in Europe.
Yeah.
Incidents involving big rigs where multiple people were injured, multiple people were killed because a driver intentionally plowed into a crowd. Now, here in the U.S., we've commonly seen when situations like this occur, it was typically a result of alcohol. You know, there was that incident on the Las Vegas Strip, for example.
Yep.
There was a few incidents in the last few years, I remember, where multiple people were killed, multiple people were injured because someone decided to get behind the wheel after drinking too much.
Right.
And it's upsetting that people choose to do that, especially in an era where you have things like Uber. If you're in a city like New York City where there are cabs everywhere, why people choose to drive under the influence. I mean, I've been hit by a drunk driver twice in my life.
Is that right?
And, you know, it's kind of shocking to, like, still survive that, but
we were just talking about that this morning. We've got a local case out here in Arizona of a local city councilman who we'll see what happens to his job, and he's facing DUI charges in an instance where it would have been so simple to grab an Uber. So you know, you're right. You think about a Christmas market in Germany. You think about what happened on one of London's famed bridges that leads directly up to Big Ben and the Palace of Westminster there, Parliament itself. You think about the attack on shoppers in a shopping district in Sweden. And so many of these instances that we've seen out of Europe prompt you to be on the alert. I think we've got another reporter ready to go.
yeah, let's go ahead and listen in, Ron.
Let's say, for example, explosives or what their concern might be. But they, you know, I don't think they moved it. It's still on its side. Do you think they moved it?
All right, it looks like that reporter is just speaking with his producer back in the studio, communicating some of the information, but it does appear like that reporter will be doing a live update from the scene in New York momentarily.
You know, and even though you know they're saying they're moving everybody back, they're kind of furthering the perimeter, enlarging it. We're still able to see, you know, far enough down there that you can see where the vehicle itself is, and looks like a number of officials have kind of converged on the scene. FBI says right now they're not willing to announce any type of determination. They've got plenty of agents there in New York who could look into this right away. I mean, from local police, it certainly sounds like it's leaning toward a drunk driving situation.
Right.
When you look at the history of the guy who reportedly is under arrest. Also interesting that David Lee Miller reported that there was the bomb sniffing dog that was called in there but has not been active.
It is a recorder camera, so the shot is interruptible. That's our challenge.
Well, this is an interesting angle because you see the command post there. A lot of viewers don't necessarily see this angle or ever really witness, you know, the command post, the command centers that set up after any sort of incident occurs. That's typically where, you know, law enforcement will gather, the media kind of gathers there to get any sort of official word from authorities.
Yeah, and it does appear that it's actually not that far from the scene itself. So maybe some of the questions about concerns about what might or might not be in that vehicle, you know, it looks like they're not set up too far away. So, you know, in a way, that might be a good sign. And again, combine that with the fact that they did bring the bomb-sniffing dogs out, but nobody saw any sign that any of the canines got any kind of a hit.
Now, some viewers at home wondering, you know, what kind of car was it? What kind of vehicle was it? It was a Honda, a maroon-colored Honda, and it did have New York license plates.
Right. So that would dovetail with the reports that it was a 26-year-old Bronx man.
Local guy.
Local guy.
With a history of DUIs.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and monitor both feeds. We have another feed. Looks like the media is being told to move farther back. That's what it seems like, right?
Yeah, right now, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so 42nd and 7th or 42nd and Broadway? 7th is actually the time. I would say Broadway. But that's where the most highest, so that's why. But I would say the best bet is 6. So if you follow me, I'll let you through here and you go to 6 and come down. Yeah, right there. Yes. Sorry, what's wrong?
Yep, it looks like the media is being pushed back again from the scene there. They want to clear the area. You can see not only a lot of media, but just passerbys watching this action unfold. Again, like you mentioned, this is a heavily tourist-populated area. And, you know, for them, it must be scary. I mean, for anyone, whether you're a resident or a tourist, it's a scary thing to experience, to know that, you know, you're walking in an area that just moments ago, other people were walking in, and unfortunately, one person did not survive.
It is
after being struck.
It's a beautiful day in New York. You can see the blue sky occasionally as that camera moves around. You're looking past some of the canyons. There's the streets all converge in Times Square. Kind of reminiscent of that day, 9/11, a generation ago, when the world changed for all of us. But hopefully, this is not terror related.
I'm studying here, but I'm from Brazil.
Okay, so you're studying here in New York.
Yes. I was with my father. We were getting into Broadway in the corner, really close to the corner, and we saw the car coming and really hitting a lot of people. I would say 3 feet from us, and that was it. Really terrified. We just saw a lot of people on the ground. Some people we really, by the blood and everything, we think they just didn't survive, and that's it. We tried to see if we could do anything, but it was just people really, really injured in the ground, and the car was already hit. If it was not that small pole, I do think that the car would hit the Times Square and hit way more people than it did.
What was the area like at the time in terms of how many people were here walking, and also were there other cars in the street as this car was coming up Broadway?
Well, it was Broadway. It's always packed, but I was in the corner. When I actually managed to get in Broadway, the car was already passed through, and there's like a line, like a really clear path of oil and blood of people. That's what I saw. It was packed. I wouldn't say like they're super packed as like Christmas or anything, but yeah, it's Broadway, so a lot.
After it happened, did you see anybody get out of the car? What did you see after it happened?
Well, we kind of got stunned with the people close to us because it was like 2 blocks after that the car actually stopped. When we actually managed to see the car was with the door open and the airbag on, and we didn't see anybody. A couple of seconds after, the cops came with someone being arrested. That, I don't know, we believe that might be the driver.
When you say someone being arrested, what did that look like? You saw someone walking with police. How did that look?
Yes, it was a handcuffed guy, and it was a black guy with the clothes all ripped apart. Yeah, I don't know what to describe. I mean, it didn't seem to be probably my height, not too tall or too short, and that's it.
Okay, and that was the only person you saw that looked to be in custody, say, for example?
Yes. That's the only person. A couple of seconds after the car crash, the cops came with this guy and, put inside the car and everything.
All right, anything else you saw that you'd add?
No, that was it.
Sir, can you just clarify, where are you standing when the crash happened? Where exactly?
Probably 46th or 45th. We're getting into the Broadway. So we just saw it from the corner. Like a couple of seconds, we will be in the Broadway when the car would have hit us.
You saw the car driving before the impact, and then you saw the impact itself.
I didn't. Well, when we saw the car coming, I mean, I didn't have time because as soon as the car hit, it was really fast. So as soon as the car hit, he already stopped there. So we didn't even have the chance to see the car driving. When we actually looked, it was already a lot of people in the ground, and the car already stopped. And
How
crashed.
badly injured did the people seem to you? People that you saw who were hit, how badly injured do they appear to be?
Well, some people we definitely think that they didn't survive. There's a lot of blood. It was a really strong impact. Many people, I would say, like by looking, I would say like 5 people probably would not survive. It was like a really strong impact, but I think it hit way more than 5 people.
What was going through your mind when you saw that car come off that sidewalk? What did you
It was just insane, just crazy. It's really getting dangerous. This New York City, very popular places, and yeah, it was really blessed for him to survive through that. It was a couple of seconds, and that will be us.
You're in town visiting from?
Yeah, my dad came from Brazil. I'm a PhD student at SUNY Albany. Yeah,
Oh, so, okay, you live here.
I live here. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. What was the crowd like when that car was coming through? What was the scene like as that car made its way up?
It was really fast. We were in the corner. We couldn't see the car coming before. We just see the car hitting people. And when we actually managed to get there and look, the car was already stopped.
Did you try to run and hide, or were you just kind of like, what did you do to kind of?
In front of us, we figured out for some seconds if we should, if it was a bomb and something that we should run. But we just figured out what happened, looked at people in the ground, tried to see if we could help or anything. But there's nothing to be done. Just people really injured in the ground. That's what we saw.
Did you help anyone else?
We try. How could we? I just recorded, see the clear path of oil and blood that the car made, and that's it.
Sorry, what was your name again?
Thank you so much, sir.
Let's boil this up a little.
Yeah, you hear me?
All right, Ron. Well, we just heard that report, that eyewitness account. I mean, he was just feet away from the thing getting hit.
Yeah, some of the early eyewitness accounts were people who had seen the aftermath of the crash. That was really interesting to hear from that guy right there.
Right.
And, with the fire department reporting the number of injured and apparently one fatality, the fact that this eyewitness said to his view when that car first started to hit people, is he felt it would be impossible to survive as many as, I think he said, 5 people. And that also is about in line with what we had heard about people in critical or extremely critical condition. The New York Post pretty early on had reported it has sources inside the police department saying that 3 people were in extremely bad shape.
Extremely critical?
Critical. It was either critical or extremely critical.
All right.
So
you just referenced the New York Post. It seems like they have the most up-to-date reporting regarding this incident that took place in Times Square. They have identified the suspect, the driver, as a 26-year-old Bronx resident, Richard Rojas. 2 prior DWIs. Taken into police custody, is being tested for alcohol. So now this motorist apparently drove up the wrong way on 7th Avenue for apparently almost 3 blocks, hitting several people along the way before crashing into that pole at 45th Street and Broadway. Now, that area of Times Square is actually where Broadway and 7th Avenue sort of intersect. So it does make sense that he ended up 45th Street and Broadway, despite the fact that he was traveling up 7th Avenue. According to the New York Post, 3 of the injured people are in critical condition. Now, according to witnesses, the driver also tried to run away after crashing into that pole.
Yeah, and then started to try to beat a police officer.
Wow.
Well, at that point, they were able to get him under arrest pretty quickly. So as soon as you hear, they've got a driver, it's interesting because there had been a very early report. It was an elderly man. I'm not quite sure which news source had gone with that. But then the Post, I believe, was the first to come out with an actual ID on the driver as a man from the Bronx, and with that history of DUIs.
Right.
That was, I think, kind of the early indication that we were dealing with an accident, a horrible, horrific accident that seems almost incomprehensible that you could,
right, and
not purposely, but in the form of an accident,
but like
hit
you
that
also,
many people.
But it's interesting to really break down the word accident, because when someone drives and gets behind the wheel when they're drinking, that's intentional. I mean,
Sure,
you are
it's criminal.
choosing to get behind the wheel
Yeah.
after consuming alcohol, and apparently based on these actions, based on the results, that was a high amount of alcohol consumed before getting behind the wheel. You know, every person makes a choice when they decide to get behind the wheel.
Sure.
And, you know, whether you call it a intentional or unintentional crash, at the end of the day, it wasn't like you got behind the wheel and you had a heart attack and people were unfortunately hurt in the process.
Sure.
You made a choice, an illegal choice, and now there are deadly consequences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here you and I have worked together for a few years, and I did not know until 5 minutes ago that you had been hit in a case of a drunk driver.
Yeah, a couple of times. Once when I was 7 years old, I was almost blind in my left eye. And then again, when I was the driver back in 2009 in Fresno. And it was a late night, and that guy blew a .28. He tried to leave the scene. I can't believe I actually went to his door. I mean, that's how young I was and silly. But I went to his door and kept the door open as he tried to put his key in the ignition and run away. I mean, now looking back at it from a news perspective, I'm like, Sami, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
That guy could have pulled the gun on me easily.
Sure.
Or anything.
Sure.
But I was just, we called 911. Fresno police took a pretty long time to arrive at the scene. Then he tried to fight cops. The cops had him on the ground. It was a chaotic situation. But thankfully, you know, I've lived to tell the story of those two incidents.
Yeah.
But it's still very scary, and there are many people who don't live to tell the story after being hit by a drunk driver.
Yeah, time and time again. Again, locally here in the Phoenix metro area, we have had a real problem with wrong-way drivers creating accidents so frequently. They end up happening in the hours before the bars close, or the hours after the bars close, which is 2 o'clock in the morning out here. And so we got a morning show that goes on the air nice and early at 4:30, and we've had multiple cases just in the last 2 or 3 years of wrong-way drivers in that kind of 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. time frame, and consistently. In the majority of those cases, it does involve somebody who never should have gotten behind the wheel in the first place because they're drunk.
Right.
And a number of cases that did turn into fatalities. So
I want to go ahead and pull up this tweet also. A lot of people sharing their firsthand accounts on social media, Ron.
Yeah.
Michael Rickerby tweeting this: just witnessed a car running people over in Times Square. Scariest moment of my life. What is wrong with some people?
Yeah,
I mean, I can't imagine being in Times Square today and witnessing it firsthand, or being, you know, just inches or feet away from that driver.
Right, and he was one of the first actually to share his thoughts there on social media. That came out. Matter of fact, I think I see the tweet time was 9:05 our time, and it was 8:56 our time when the accident, according to the timestamp from NYPD, that this happened. So he had sent that information out literally 9 minutes after the accident happened, and I don't know. I don't know if you have 140 characters there, so you don't know exactly how much he witnessed, but he did see the car running people over. You would presume he also saw the arrest of the guy, although he didn't say so in that tweet. But just the fact that this driver, as they were trying to get him under arrest, was fighting, trying to punch an officer, indicates the sort of the state of mind that this guy was in after the accident itself happened.
Right. Here is another live look at that scene there in Times Square. Times Square, you never see it this empty, Ron. No matter the time of day or night, this place is never empty. And now you barely see anyone walking through, just law enforcement officials, the fire department on hand. but no one in Times Square. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's 3 p.m. or 3 a.m. Times Square always has activity. But not today, not in this moment.
Just reading the stream of comments, somebody had commented that a device was found in the car, but we don't have any reports that indicate that at all. Matter of fact, the Fox reporter who's on scene, David Lee Miller, had said that his reporting indicated that there was a police dog, a bomb-sniffing dog that was right in the area, and that it was in more of a standby mode. And some of the aerial pictures, we got the ground pictures now, but some of the aerial pictures we showed you well after the accident happened showed officers right up next to the vehicle itself. So it does not look like there's any indication that there was any kind of explosive device or other sinister type of device inside that car.
Mm-hmm. This is an interesting tweet posted by Fox 5 in New York. I want to go ahead and pull up this one as well. Eyewitness ran after Times Square driver as he attempted to get away. It took 6 guys to put him down, said Jared Sabater. So again, that is just a crazy thing to think that this suspect tried to run. Obviously, if he has a history of DWIs, he's going to try to escape.
Yeah, exactly. So, as you say, it's so dumb to drink and get behind the wheel, and it's criminal. And a guy like this is, we already have the confirmation of 1 dead. According to the most recent eyewitness we heard, he said, I'd find it hard to believe that as many as 5 other people could have survived that initial impact. We're still waiting to get, again, this is all solid reporting out of our sources, like the AP, like Fox News, and like the New York Post. But we're still waiting to get some sort of official confirmation. You did show the pictures a little while ago of the command center that's set up. So hopefully we can start to get some hard facts from law enforcement quickly.
And for those of you not familiar with New York City, or if maybe you've never been there and you don't realize just how busy this area is, we want to give you some fast facts. Now, Times Square has roughly 360,000 average daily visitors. On the busiest days, pedestrians count as high as 480,000 visitors. Now, Times Square supports 10% of New York City's jobs, with more than 170,000 workers in the area, ranging from retail and hotels to major financial institutions and cable networks. Now, interestingly enough, back in August of 2015, New York Mayor Bill de Blasio created a 100-officer unit to patrol Times Square to help control, this is interesting, the ballooning industry of costume superheroes and cartoon characters. Obviously, It's a tourist area, a tourist attraction. Mm-hmm. And, we're hearing reports that the car was traveling at a higher rate of speed than what most cars travel at. Now, the speed limit surrounding Times Square is 25 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. The overall speed limit for the city in general is only 30 miles per hour because, again, like we mentioned, it's not a driving city. This is a pedestrian-friendly city. Mm-hmm. Most people walk or take the subway or take a cab. It's not, like the streets here in Phoenix where you can drive 45, 50 miles per hour and be okay.
Right. And here you got a guy reportedly from the Bronx in the middle of the day, 4 minutes before noon, who we're still waiting to confirm if this is a case of drunk driving, but he's got a history of drunk driving. 4 minutes before noon, going the wrong way up one of the busiest streets in New York.
All right, everyone. It looks like the reporter there in New York City at Times Square is about to do another live report with, I believe, Fox National. Let's go ahead and watch. Let's see. It looks like he's about to give us another live report from the scene. We are going to monitor this camera, and hopefully he'll be chatting with us momentarily. Stand by. Oh, actually, I want to go back to our other feed from New York City. The camera is zooming in on the top of the building there. On the top of that building, the Viacom building there in New York City. Again, this not too far from, I think that's right, the MTV building for people of my generation, the TRL generation.
Yeah, there you are.
You know, crowds of people would stand outside this building in the late 90s, early 2000s. Looks like we have that report now from the Fox News reporter. Let's listen in.
According to police sources, is that the NYPD does have a man in custody, a 26-year-old from here in New York, a native of the Bronx by the name, we're told, of Richard Rojas, a man who's said to have at least 2 priors, both for DWI, one in 2008, we're told, another in 2015, I believe. We're waiting for some more details to be filled in at a news conference in which the mayor of New York City will be among the attendees, along with the police commissioner, Jimmy O'Neill, that's taking place a few blocks from here any minute. Now, this kind of works right along with what eyewitnesses were telling us, Neil, when we arrived on the scene a short time after this incident took place. And they told us, and including one man I spoke to a few moments ago, who was walking into Times Square with his father, that he saw this car that was driving, you know, right in the middle of Times Square, and then for whatever reason just suddenly veered into what is such a heavily trafficked pedestrian area. And he says he saw that car strike a number of pedestrians, many of them just going down in a heap. He and his dad ran over to see what they could do, and they said there was not much they could do. The police, he said, who so many of them are stationed here in and around Times Square, the Midtown South Precinct, were so quick to be on the scene that he just left. Now, what he did say a short time later is that he saw a gentleman in handcuffs being taken away by the police, who was taken into custody. A woman from the United Kingdom who we had spoken to earlier when we first arrived described pretty much the same thing, that she saw a man running from the scene, in her description, a man that was caught by police and taken into handcuffs. It's our working assumption now that that's the man identified by police sources as 26-year-old Richard Rojas. Again, if that's correct, his driving today has caused the death of one and the injuries of 19 others. Now, we've been moved back, Neil, a significant number of blocks from the scene. I'm standing on Broadway where this incident took place, but between 47th and 48th Street. The car that you've been looking.
All right, guys, we're going to cut out of this report. The mayor of New York is speaking now.
I want to give you an update. We had a very serious incident today here in Times Square. We're going to provide you with information. I want to emphasize up front, this is preliminary information. Obviously, investigation underway. There's a lot we will learn in the coming hours, but we're going to give you the information we have at this point. I'll start, and then you'll hear from our police commissioner, James O'Neill, and our fire commissioner, Dan Nigro. So far, what we know, 23 individuals were injured in this incident. And that includes, tragically, one young woman who has passed away. The perpetrator is in custody. He's a United States citizen and a former member of the armed forces.
Based on the information we have at this moment, there is no indication of that this was an accident. Based on the information we have at this moment, there is no indication that this was an accident. That being said, we are...
All right, guys, we're losing this feed, so I'm going to go ahead and cut in now to our live news coverage because we are getting a feed now.
Yes. Yes. We all feel deeply right now. Yes. Yes. Take control, please. Of the young woman. Yes.
All right, we are getting some breaking news regarding attacks, missiles on Syria. We are hoping to get you guys an update on that. Looks like our Times Square feed, we've been losing audio. Looks like we've just gotten the audio back now. Stand by. We are working through some technical difficulties. Coming out of New York regarding our audio of this press conference. Stand by.
Tough day
Lost audio.
Can you speak up, please?
Lost audio.
Use the mic.
Patrick. Patrick. Lost audio.
Again, guys, we are having some technical difficulties, some audio issues, the audio not coming through from this press conference in New York. We also have some breaking news out of regarding operation in Syria. Stay tuned for that. We'll be giving you an update momentarily.
There it goes.
We have audio now? We're good?
All right, looks like we've just gotten that audio now from that press conference.
What? No, it's not us. How about now? Peter, you want to take a look at it? Carl, what do we got? All right, ready to roll? We're good? All right, thank you. Okay. All right, so as the mayor said, this is preliminary information. This incident happened about an hour and a half ago, so it's all subject to change, and this is what we talk about at every press conference. We try to get as much information out to you as possible, as soon as possible. So at approximately 11:55 a.m., a 2009 Honda Accord passenger vehicle mounted the sidewalk on the west side of 7th Avenue at West 42nd Street in Times Square. The vehicle, occupied by a male driver, proceeded to drive at a high rate of speed along the sidewalk from 42nd Street to 45th Street, striking a number of pedestrians along the way. The Honda eventually came to a stop on the northwest corner of West 45th Street, where it collided with a metal stanchion. Along the route, the subject's vehicle struck 23 pedestrians, causing multiple injuries and 1 fatality. 22 victims were removed to local hospitals. The driver, a 26-year-old male, identified as Richard Rojas, a resident of the Bronx, was taken into custody at the scene. Preliminary investigation reveals that Rojas has a few arrests, and 2 of them are for DWI. Detectives are currently reviewing any other criminal history for the subject. Further investigation is ongoing. At this point, as the mayor said, there is no indication that this incident was terrorism related. Now Commissioner Nigro will talk about the injuries.
Thank you, and I'll talk about the injuries in general terms as we do. We're not going to talk about names or specific injuries. We did have 1 person who was pronounced at the scene. There were 4 critical patients removed, 2 to Bellevue, 2 to Roosevelt, with various traumatic injuries, including open fractures, including multiple traumas. None of those at this point, thanks to the fact that they were quickly transported to this hospital, is likely. But that doesn't mean they are cleared. None of those 4 are right now likely to perish. Conditions can change. We're very hopeful that the fact they were treated here quickly and removed quickly, that they will survive. 3 other injuries were very serious but not critical. They were also removed to local hospitals. 15 are less serious injuries, we call green tag injuries. All of these people have now been transported to the hospitals, are being treated. We won't divulge any names or ages or where they come from at this point, but there was a very large amount of fire department, police department resources arriving here very quickly, and thanks to that, people received care in a very timely fashion.
All right, let's take questions. In the back, yep. There were a number of people involved in the apprehension. There were some civilians involved, but there were also members of the New York City Police Department involved in apprehension also. We have, as you know, being from New York, we have a tremendous amount of police coverage in Times Square. As a matter of fact, right on the corner of 43rd and 7th, we had a lieutenant from CRC and some police officers. Hold on, one at a time. Hold on. You got to speak up. The vehicle, at this time, we don't think the vehicle was being pursued by a police vehicle. David. David, as you know, the NYPD constantly reassesses security throughout the city, and after an incident like this, we'll do that also. Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, I would just add, there's been a very substantial increase in the number of police officers who patrol Times Square over the last few years, obviously as part of our creation of a greater anti-terror force, the Critical Response Command. In addition, other measures have been put in place. As Commissioner said, we will continue to update those measures as each situation warrants.
McGee? It's right between, it looks like it's between 4-2 and 4-3, McGee, on 7th Avenue, the sidewalk. I'm not sure about that. I can't give you that. No, we'll give you that in. We're not ready to do that yet. Okay? Yep. Well, he's in the process of being tested as we speak, and he's being interviewed by the New York City police detectives also. I can't say that with any degree of certainty right now. Right behind. You got to speak up. Yeah, it looks like, and that's where he mounted the sidewalk at 4, 2, and 7, half a block away from here, up to 4, 5 Street. Yes. Now we're in the process of reviewing all the video right now. We're in the process of interviewing him right now. Again, this is only happened an hour and a half ago. Marcia? No, of course, the worst went through my mind, and that's why the mayor and I came here as quickly as we could. I spoke to Chief Aubrey, who's the detective chief in Manhattan South, and we quickly determined that at this time it doesn't appear to be terrorist related.
Right, and Marcia, same thing exactly. Obviously, we know the times we're living in, Marcia, and we know it's a dangerous moment in history. I also had, the second I heard it was Times Square, I knew that there was a tremendous police presence, but as we've learned more, again, there's no indication this was terror. Go ahead. Again, I think that's a different discussion than the crisis we're talking about right now. It is. We're talking about this right now. Go ahead. Go ahead. Look, my response is the same it's been any time there's been an incident anywhere in the world. We continue to go about our lives as New Yorkers. Now, thank God, based on what we know now, there is no indication that this was an act of terror. But for anyone who's concerned, my message is always the same. This is the safest big city in America. That's been proven many times over. 36,000 police officers protecting people. Even when some incidents occur, it should not change people's fundamental knowledge that they are safe and the NYPD protects them.
Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, please.
All right, before I take any more questions, I'm going to let Chief Aubrey kind of walk through the chronology of what just transpired in Times Square. Okay, Bill?
So I just want to reiterate, as the mayor and the police commissioner had said, there is no indication at this point that this has anything to do with terrorism. I'm going to take you through the facts that we know an hour and a half into this incident. 11:54 a.m., Mr. Richard Rojas, he's a 26-year-old male. He's traveling southbound on 7th Avenue. As he approaches 42nd Street, he makes a quick U-turn onto the west side sidewalk of 7th Avenue and 42nd Street. He proceeds on that west side sidewalk for 3.5 blocks, where he hits a stanchion. Between 42nd and 43rd Street, there's an 18-year-old female that was struck, and she now is dead. Her 13-year-old sister was also struck, and she's being treated in a hospital. Upwards of over 20 other people were injured between 42nd Street and 45th Street on that west side sidewalk. When he hits the stanchion on the west side sidewalk, there's a traffic agent that ends up tackling him. That's traffic agent Alfaki Abdamaggio. There's also a parole officer, and there's also patrol cops that are there that assist with apprehending him. They get him in the patrol car, they bring him back to Midtown South Precinct. He makes certain statements, which I'm not getting into. Currently, right now, he's being transported to a testing facility where Highway will test him for drugs and alcohol. As the commissioner had said, he has a previous background arrest history. In 2008, he was arrested in Queens for drinking and driving. And also in 2015, he was arrested in Manhattan for drinking and driving. His last recent arrest was in May of this year, and that was for menacing. And again, you know, we're working with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We're working with witnesses. We're looking at video to try to piece the facts together here. But at this point, there is no indication that there is terrorism involved. We have detectives at his home. We have detectives canvassing for video. We have detectives speaking with witnesses. And again, so far, it looks like we're getting down to the facts as they come about. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Gail.
I'm not going to tell you right now.
All right, everyone, that press conference has wrapped up in New York. You have New York officials speaking out about this incident. Now we got an official update on the number of people injured, a total of 22 injured, 4 very, very seriously injured, 3 others pretty seriously injured, and then 15 others with some form of injury, a total of 22 people injured, 1 dead, according to officials. Even those 4 people who are seriously, critically injured, at this time it appears that they will survive. Again, you are looking at a live look at New York City, the live aerials. Looks like the camera just zoomed out, so you guys got a full look at the New York skyline. It is zooming in once again at this intersection, 45th Street and Broadway, right near 7th Avenue. 7th Avenue was the street that the driver was cruising along, was traveling in the wrong direction on 7th Avenue before crashing there at 45th Street and Broadway in Times Square, the heart of New York City, as some like to call it. This is another live look at New York City's Times Square. As you can see, the police tape is up, and Times Square much less crowded than it typically is on a Thursday afternoon.